Hello everyone, it's Jay! Welcome for the first coding session of the year. Today we're gonna implement the OBS avatar effect. If you ask what it's about, check the video in the link. The code is available in my GitHub in the description, and before start, don't forget to subscribe, like and comment the video. Let's go coding! So let's explain what is about the projects. To make the project works, we use the WebSocket server in OBS and control it via another application. To help us, there is a library obs-webserver-js. In this documentation, they explain us we can listen events and we can send requests. So if we check the documentation, sending a request by just calling and a type and a request data, and we can listen for some events, receiving events, so we can use once or add listeners. And the project is about to enable a source filter input into the background, so like in my avatar on the right corner. So if we go to the documentation, we see that they are exactly the request that we want. The set source filter enable. It will take a source name or a grid and the filter name and the enable value. And for receiving the microphone information, there is an event input volume meter, and this event is sent every 15 milliseconds in a VS Code. And let's create a new project. So I'm already into an empty folders, and let's create a new project and say npm init. Wait for the init to execute, and you can leave the default stuff like the version, the package name, the description. Maybe you could add OBS avatar effects application. The entry point will be index.js, no test common, git repository. Yeah, maybe a keyword, it could be OBS and effects. And the author is me, JDevLab, and the license will be MIT, and click yes. So now we have our package.json, so the node application is ready to install. So let's install the OBS WebSocket. So npm install OBS WebSocket-js. And when it's ready, open the documentation of the README, because the README contains a bunch of information that is interesting for us. It explains how to create a new OBS WebSocket, or to connect to the server and anything. So let's create a new file, index.js. We will use the common.js using. I'm not configured nodejs to be with ES modules. So let's import the OBS WebSocket. So const equal required obs.js, and we will take the OBS sockets on the OBS. So click a new variable, const OBS, it's equal to new OBS WebSocket. And now we have an object that we can connect to the to the socket server. So it's ws localhost, and the default port is 4455. My password my OBS have a password, so I will copy the password on my OBS server. So yes, copy and close. It's a promise function, so we have to call then to see what's happened. We can receive the values, but if we do nothing with the value, we can let's create narrow functions and console log I am connected. So here we are on the terminal. You just have to start the applications. So node index.js, and it said I am connected. And to prove that, on my OBS WebSocket server settings, I have another application that is open. So if I close the application, it's not connected. And if I restart the application, I'm connected now. So it's working, we are connected. So I can close that window. Let's listen the event of the input volume meters. But to be able to receive the events, we have to add additional parameter for our connection settings. So the first one is the event subscriptions, and it's event subscription dot, and OS is the input volume meter. And I think it's just that it will be simple as that. After that, on the then function, we can call the add listener, and we want the input the same event, and we will take the data. Well, let's create another function data and console log the data. Let's restart the application, and if I close, so each 50 milliseconds, as the doc mentioned, we receive an event of the microphone or of the input volume meters. So it could be the audio of your OBS, the microphone, and a lot of stuff like that. But for us, the input what I want to listening is the mic one. So let's filter my microphone. So create a new variable. So const microphone micro, it's equal to data dot inputs dot find, and it's a predicate function. So we say I, and I dot input name, it's equal to mic. And if the microphone exists, let's console log and receive a micro informations, and let's copy the microphone. Let's log the microphone stuff. Delete the console log data because we will receive a lot of data. So I will just remove it. Let's clear the terminal and restart the application. And when we talk, the value is bigger, and when we are not quiet, it's near to 0. So let's explain the result. So on the log, we see that they are an array of an array, and on the second column, we see that the value when it's near to 0 is when we are quiet, and when we're talking is near to 0, it's more .0.2. So here, look, if you look at that here in this log, and when we were quiet, the value it's very near to 0. So let's a new variable. So const input level volume, and we will take the micro dot input level moles and take the first array and the second columns. Why is 0 and 1? It's because on programations the first index is always 0. So it's normal that you see 0 and 1. And if, let's check if the input volumes made input volume is more dot 0.02, let's console log I am talking. Control S, clear the terminal and restart the Node application. And when I'm talking, it's logged, but when I'm quiet, it's not logged. So we know that the talking is working. So let's clear the terminal, close the application and clear the terminal. I add a small rectangle in my scene. You will see test result. The background color is blue, and if I go to the filter, when I apply the effect, it's light blue now. And by disable the effect, it's dark blue. So with that in mind, let's return to the code, and we will send a request. So let's create let's remove the if and create a constant for talking. Is talking. It's equal the input value in the input level volume, and like this. And let's check the documentation of how to send a request. So on the documentation, calling a request. So a request have a type and a request data. And previously on the documentation, we have to call the set source filter enable. So let's do it. Let's write obs call. Thanks to TypeScript definition, because it will give us exactly the names of the request that we want to send and the parameter of the request. So the filter is enable. We said is talking. We will take the source name because source name is more easily that the GUI. We don't have the GUI on the UI in OBS, so let's take the name instead. So the name of the blue rectangle is background, and the filter name is effects. Let's restart the application and check and see if the background color of test result change. And I am talking, and now we see that it's completely changed. So that's it for this coding session. I hope you like it, and finally it's very easy to implement. We only have 22 lines of code. If you have idea about other coding session, you can write a comment. And thanks, and see you soon for a next coding session. Bye bye.